So hey everyone, I wonder if this will be the last video in this route. I really don't know. Considering that it's literally only a day left, like only Sunday, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're at the end of this route in the videos. It is 6:06 a.m. on the 14th of August, and I have calmed down from the movie I was watching. Not really calmed down, more like stopped to cry my eyes out. Whatever. I'm standing up, so I find it's easier to voice that way. Like, I have the computer on a stack of books because I have that many books. Honestly, my closet is full of books. Yeah, basically the entire space is taken up by them, so yeah, no room for clothes in there. But yeah, let's just pop in. Oh God, right. So they just got out of Brian's trailer after the whatever that was attacked, because it didn't sound like it was the thing that Jenna saw as a kid and the thing that TJ and a lot of the others saw. But like, I don't know. Might have been, who knows. But yeah, they escaped. I can still feel the stitches on my leg even though I pulled out the little bits of line a half hour ago. Despite living here a vast majority of my life, even I have trouble figuring out where the hell we are. As I walk in the stinging throbs at every step, I close my eyes and realize how exhausted I really am. Running off extreme adrenaline for a day will take the wind out of you. So will multiple blows to the head and torture, apparently. I keep imagining that when I open my eyes, I look back at my dorm. I'll sit up from bed, and Jensen will be tapping away at his laptop on the other side of the room. I tell him I had a fucked up dream, and he'd tell me that in that too cool for school tone to blog about it. The rhythmic tapping was at first really annoying, but now it's kind of like a white noise machine. It helps me sleep for some weird reason. Maybe because it makes me feel like I'm not so alone. Chase. I inhale sharply, nearly tripping over a clump of weeds. Jenna places a precautionary arm out in front of me before easing back. She sees I got my balance again. You still with us? She looks me up and down as if looking for signs that I'm turning into another Leo situation. Said Wolf is still with us, ambling along like he can't even tell that half his leg was stitched to mine less than an hour ago. I look back to her, nodding. Yeah. Exhausted, but that's to be expected, I guess. Ordinarily, I'd love a quiet walk with you at night, though, considering the circumstances. She pauses, looking over her shoulder. Well, it could be worse. You had a guardian angel. She noticeably stiffens, hearing up the topic of what just happened. I'm trying not to think about it. None of us had gone around to check where Brian was dragged. In fact, we made a beeline in the opposite direction. Ordinarily, the lights of town would guide us where to go, but everything's dark. The moon, our only real source of light. And even that is partially obscured. The productive thing to do is just to think ahead right now. We'll come into town along the back roads, get to the motel, and take your car. I give her affirmative thumbs up. Micah, meanwhile, is clutching his knife tight. It reminds me of how he was with the wrench earlier when he was worried about Leo attacking him. Now the two walk nearly side by side. Everyone but Leo is rattled, that's for sure. I can't tell if it's supposed hysteria's fault or just a completely rational reaction to all the shit that's happened today. Micah's usually arrogant and gruff demeanor is replaced by a more timid posture, Matt rubbing his neck like he can't believe he's alive. I try to think of something to say as he turns to face me. Micah, I'm sorry about Keith. Yeah, he responds simply, sucking in his lower lip for a moment between one of his fangs, or speaking again. Still not sure exactly what happened, but now I have a more definitive idea. He looks sad again, shifting the topic. I had a dream about you, you know. Oh? After we spoke. I only got a little bit of sleep, but what I did dream stuck out to me. You were holding me underwater, drowning me. A cold chill creeps along my spine. Jenna looks over, raising her brow curiously at the bat. Leo stares straight ahead, unfazed. That's weird. Why are you telling me this? Mike waves his hand and is dismissing my question as he continues. You were holding me underwater, but it was fucking terrifying because I couldn't breathe. Your hands around my throat felt exactly the way that noose did. The way they bristled and cut into my neck. Winston matted fur along his throat, the pinkish raw rubbed flesh visibly even in the dark. But talking emotionally and shit, I started feeling thankful. Thankful that I was killing you? That's rather macabre. That nods, meaning well aware how strange this sounds. He doesn't relent, knowing how exceptionally strange everything else has been lately. I'm willing to take anything at face value at this point. Like you were freeing me. Real fucked up suicidal shit. When I was up in that noose though, I didn't want to die, so that part didn't translate. Honestly surprised I didn't piss and shit myself. But you guys... He stares blankly at him. No. I did not know. Leo, of course, is silent. To think I almost left town a couple days ago. Would never have gotten caught up in this mess. Well, why did you really disappear the first time, back in 2008? Micah fiddled with something in his pocket, taking it out and peering it over. Can't quite make out what it is. Something plastic and thick. A lot of reasons. The folks turned on me after finding out about some shit one night. Came home to find my room torn up, all my belongings outside. My mom, the cunt, wouldn't stop fucking bawling, screeched like a dying chicken at me. My dad, meanwhile, had this old police baton, kept coming at it whenever I tried to come inside. Kept screaming to let me in and apologize for every little screw-up I could think of. None of it worked. Tried to sleep on the porch, but Dad came out and started kicking me in the back till I left. Jenna grimaces. It's awful. Leo looks back over his shoulder, slowing his pace to match ours. I can tell he's at least half listening now, no longer spaced out. Keith was gone and I didn't have anywhere else to go. Wasn't too popular as I recalled with Heather, Clint, and Jeremy. They had their own problems. Should have told me. Words catch Micah by surprise, though staring at him from across the shrubbery. And no way just surrounded near that experience together, but no need to be getting retroactively sappy. Turn a small bend around, a sandy embankment, smoked car parts scattered in the underbrush. The moon is finally visible from behind a canyon, and I can make out what Mike is carrying. Brian's cell phone. I guess he's gonna try to take that in as evidence. As he moves to push it into his pocket, it slips and clatters against a rock beneath him. Ah, fuck. I'll get it. Leo bends down, taking hold of the phone. The screen is shattered and a few slivers of glass fall to the ground. Damn it. Matt extends out his hand. Thanks. He doesn't budge, still staring at the shattered device. Then, from beyond the desert scrub and scattered car parts, a mechanical roar. Light flashes before us, and Leo holds up a paw to shield himself from the light. It takes me just a moment to realize their headlights and the roar is the start of an old engine. Oh, great, I hear it's the tone again. It's a van, sitting right in front of us, and it's all too familiar. Of course it is. Of course it's all too familiar. Oh. Okay. What the? Jenna reels back, eyes wide. I wasn't there a moment ago. She mutters, craning her neck some to peer through the red-tinted window to see who's behind the wheel. After a moment of inspection, it's clear that there's no one inside. Jenna. What? Jenna, this is the van from the dream, the one I told you about. Oh, come on. Jenna doesn't sound incredulous to my claim, just exhausted. She crossed her arms tightly over her chest and lifted her eyes to the side of the idling vehicle. Okay then, what's it doing here? I don't have an answer for her, and therefore remain silent, stepping away from the front of the vehicle in case it somehow takes off. Micah, meanwhile, looks confused. Peers around, his yellow eyes bright and shimmering in the focus of the headlights. What the fuck? I know where we are. But we were heading into town toward the motel. How the fuck are we here? We didn't cross the highway, did we? Look to our east, and sure enough, there it is, the withered asphalt of Route 65. I would have noticed if we crossed pavement. Someone would have. It's a complete opposite direction that we should be heading. Jenna gasps, seemingly realizing this a little after the rest of us. We've been here before. Leo speaks up, clutching the side of his head with a wince. You recognize it too, right? Sounds half asleep, turning to face us. Though it appears he's only speaking to Micah and I. Matt blinks. Oh, fuck. You dreamed about this too, Chase? I swallow and nod, clutching my clay paws against my shirt. I think so. Dream from earlier had already begun to fade from my memory, as most dreams do. But the way I felt watching it is very clear, and the whole scene is starting to give me some serious deja vu, or something like it. There was an albino guy. He had bright red eyes and got ran over. The van's motor continues to idle, humming as it waits. Mine was a little different. Micah doesn't elaborate. No, we've been here before in real life. Implying that this is not real life? Micah glances over at the wolf, and the two exchange a look for a moment. Jenna steps forward and tugs the driver's side door. It opens with a quiet creak, some hair and cobwebs fraying apart as the door is pulled fully open. She squints at something about the wheel, then reaches in and taps it. Keys are in the ignition, and there's this big red glare in the dash. Maybe a check engine light? She frowns to herself. It looks like this thing hasn't been used in a while. Saying to ever turn this on, but I'm no mechanic. If only there was one among us now. Leo? She pokes her head out, raising an inquisitive brow at the wolf. You're welcome to take a look if you're feeling up to it. She eyes Leo up, examining his physical condition. Her expression is a mixture of skepticism and concern. Leo begins to limp toward the van, and Micah steps up behind him to keep him tipping over. Grunts appreciatively in response, speaking up. It's probably not a check engine light. Makes you say that? Those didn't really exist back when this was made. Before the mid-90s. Are you guys thinking we can drive this out of Echo? I'm a little more concerned with wondering who turned this on in the first place, and how we even got here. That's an optimistic thought, Chase. So maybe this is a gift horse that we're looking squarely in the mouth right now? Doubt it. After the rasps, helping Leo prop himself up against the driver's side door as Jenna steps aside. The light looks like it isn't coming from the dash. Leo clumsily grasps the steering wheel, peering closer. It's like it's being reflected off the odometer, but I don't see a direct source. How can Leo see clearly at all after repeated blows ahead? Maybe the real question here. That's fucking weird. Shuffling noise comes from the back of the van and everyone freezes. There's a raggedy fabric partition hiding everything from past the front seats from view. Gingerly, Leo pulls it aside and squints into a red light illuminating his face. Is anyone back there? Leo doesn't immediately respond. I can't see him well from where I'm standing. I limp my way up beside Jenna. Leo? She inquires again, more urgent. No, not right now. There is something back here, though. Well, that's obvious enough. I'm too big to squeeze between the seats. Gonna go around. Everyone takes a step back out of the now seemingly coherent wolf's way as he exits the van. Fucking deja vu is something fierce right now. You too? And it gives us both a quizzical look as Leo braces the handle of the rusted van door and gives it a yank. At first doesn't budge, but after another hard tug, the door flies open. One door partially unhinged as it dangles to the side. There's something standing in the middle of the van on 3 spindly legs. The red light projects from something on the top and begins to flash on and off. A camera on a tripod? At first I think it's mine, but upon closer inspection it looks like an older model. No fucking way! Micah quickly backs away, nearly tripping over a prickly pear cactus in his haste. Nope, this isn't real, everyone, back it up. Being filmed? What is this, a elaborate prank show? This is 100% not funny. Leo says nothing, climbing up into the back of the van and turning the display monitor and the camera around. On it, a little red dot in the corner flashes on and off in time with the illumination of the rest of the cab. The display screen itself shows us standing there at the back of the van, though the image is fuzzy, distorted. I wonder how long this has been here. That's my camera! Micah shouts in surprise, looking briefly at the rest of us before lowering his voice some. Or, well, the high school's camera, but they were shit for keeping inventory. I ditched it after my folks kicked me out. Okay, but what's it doing here, and why is it recording? Judging by the looks on everyone's faces, I don't think anyone has answered that. Leo brings a heavy paw up to his eyes, rubbing them some before peering at Micah, then the screen, then back again. Micah cants his hand some at the wolf, letting out a slow exhale. Yeah, this is one fucked up joke, Wolf. I'm beginning to think this is the Hum's doing. You mentioned that before by the motel. Wow, I haven't heard that word in a while. What's the Hum? It's, hard to describe. Bad dreams, like we talked about before. Feels kind of like Vision Quest shit, but real spiritual stuff that Keith talked about a lot. Wasn't good vibes, though. Bad energy only. Thing is, it only really happens when you're sleeping, and I'm wide-ass awake. He extends his arms out to his side for a moment before gripping the van's door, thumbing at the chipping paint. I haven't thought about that in a while. Jeremy and Adam talked about it when I was younger, after I mentioned seeing the thing we saw just a half hour ago, she wants to say, but she still visibly can't quite accept that, not yet. You know what? I don't, but as I was saying, you can kind of tell when it's happened because more than just a nightmare, your ears start buzzing. Like one of them orchestra bands tuning up. Violins in your skull, you know? Creeping sensation that I know exactly what he's talking about builds in my gut. You hear it too? What, like right now? Leo stares for a moment before nodding. One of the bat's large ears flicks and he turns his head from side to side. I don't think so. Pauses. Maybe might be the engine. Shit, I hear it. I hear it. I mean, it's the game, but I hear it. He shifts attention back to the vehicle, yanking the van's door some. Spooky-ass ghost van engine. Metal frame of the van seems to rattle in response. That might just be my imagination. Sometimes I go out into the hills and just camp out away from home, because the hum wasn't as bad there. Heather did it a bunch with me too, though, she had her other reasons. And a nods, exhaling slowly across her arms over her chest. So I suppose you have a theory about all this? One based in what, Mercedes spiritualism? Honestly, I thought it was like radon poisoning or something. But you get the hum in a few other places around town too. I've slept all over. The rail yard, the lake, this van, they're all real hummy places. You slept in this van before? Despite everything that's happened, the idea that Emma ought to take a nap in this creepy thing is dubious at best for Jenna. Well, Micah trails off. For one usually so coarse and brazen is seeming awkwardness right now feeling out of place for him. We both have. Briefly. Leo places the flat of his palm on the bed of the cab. Flattened cardboard boxes and ratty bits of fabric that must have once been blankets or towels cover the surface. Large canine's brow furrows some, and finally he looks back up at all of us. It may just be me, but doesn't seem as sluggish anymore. Jenna lets out an exhaustion-musing noise, letting her arms flop down to her sides. Truly, I'm not sure I see the appeal. Leo and Micah look at each other. There's a silence. Wait. Hold on, you're not saying... I was so stupid. We were both stupid. Micah squeezes the bridge of his nose, closing his eyes as if cringing at himself. I was such a skeevy little bitch back then. I don't know why I pushed. No, I didn't mean for that, Micah. I meant what happened after. You had it rough and I didn't care. Or if I did, I didn't want it. I didn't want it because of what happened at the party. I feel like an outsider looking in at some intimate conversation I don't understand. Which is a feeling I can't say I felt when I'm around Leo. He'd always go out of his way to include me in everything. What party? What are you guys talking about? Chase, 2008. That Dia de los Muertos party at the Parsons warehouse. The one where you told me you were gay. The night we got together. Blink. My parents were caught me watching gay porn that morning on the computer. I was afraid to come home to them, so I went to some party at Parsons. He had this little Route 65 stuff. So it was 2008, not 2006, okay. The night itself was kind of a blur. I remember getting in a very brief fight with a guy who dumped beer on TJ and then waking up with Leo over me, eyes full of concern. Someone ended up confiding everything to him about me being into guys. He apparently had a hunch about it, and next thing I knew, he was ushering me out of the old warehouse to walk home with him. We kissed in the rail yard by this house, and that was about the start of our relationship proper. Still, something always seemed a bit off about that party and the way Leo was acting. I think I remember. Some dude trying to come out to talk to him and Leo telling him off before insisting on ask about it. He seemed really serious at the time. Didn't want to ruin a good thing or something like that. I didn't get a good look at the guy he talked to, but he was carrying a camera. The wolf taps the side of the tripod with his fingertips. Leo, you are reprehensible. Jenna's voice is cold and curt. Jenna? What? Shut up. Jenna looks taken aback, but only for a split second for shaking her in disbelief. Leo winces, clutching his wounded head. His reddish eyes look up to meet mine. I shouldn't have agreed to it. I was just... Jenna quickly interjects, stepping in front of me. No, Leo, this whole week's just proven to me, time and time again, that you are just... She stares, letting out a hot puff of air between her lips before spreading her arms wide. Just perfect for Echo. You truly, truly belong here, you know that? God, how old were you then? How old was Micah? Do you even care? Fucking hell, are you about done? Bat pivots in his heel away from the van to face Jenna's eyebrows narrow beneath his bangs. Look, you don't know me. I ain't some fucking victim. Shit was my choice. What was your choice? Jeez, you're an absolute idiot sometimes. Jenna sounds very disgusted. I fart out her wondering what the fuck I did wrong. And I abandon you. Jenna visibly sees. None of this! She points to the rusty van and the same red light flashing on and off. Makes any sense. But all your actions completely do. You are just all so perfect for your town, for this town, thinking any of that was okay. She throws up her hands, legs shaking with frustration. Is she including me in this? It isn't. I'm gone. Done. Jenna. She turns to leave, though a crackling from the front of the van brings her to a halt. Hey. From the consulate store, a voice I've become all too familiar with rings forth again. It's coming from the old radio, the audio crackling through the dusty speakers. I don't know, okay. Jenna recognizes it instantly and begins stepping back away from the van again. We should go. Now. Voice is shaky. The air itself seems fuzzy, electric, ozony. Like I'm breathing in hundreds of tiny strands of vibrating twine. That sounded like Chase. Hi. Leo was the only one to outright respond back, and Micah looks at him with a blurred expression. Don't talk to the hum. It's Chase. Chase is right here, dipshit. He gestures to me, still standing gobstopped at the back of the van. Leo slowly looks back at me, squinting at my chin, then my eyes. It's me. Let's go home. He sees it in the mouth, moving his eyes widen a little more. A small line of blood runs from the spot just behind his ear down to his jaw. I promise I won't bring it up again. Let's go home. Who gives a fuck what the others say? You know I'm right. I remember saying those exact words after Flynn blasted us for skipping Jenna's birthday party in 10th grade. I had convinced Leo to hang out with me instead. I was addicted to private time with him. I promise I won't bring it up again. We're all silent, staring at the dark cab where the noise is coming from. Except for Leo, he's looking directly at me. Leave. Why? He asks me. I'm not sure what to say. It's not me speaking, but those are my words. Everything feels hazy and wet. Micah leans his head into the van, trying to get the wolf's attention. Leo, Keith always said not to talk to him. That's what this shit is, no doubt. Hysteria, it has a voice? Apparently it's your fucking voice, Chase. No wonder everyone's so damn riled about you coming back. But why me? Do I look like some kind of Messiah wise man? Micah grunts, fidgeting from foot to foot. Despite his demeanor, he's definitely visibly unnerved by all this. And parroting shit I heard from a guy who's probably dead. For a while when I was younger, I thought I heard Keith's voice too, telling me the shit I wanted to hear, but shit that wasn't good for me. So I got the fuck out of town. Jenna throws her hands up, squeezing the pin on her necklace. I can't handle this. I'm going to do what the spooky van wants and leave. It's not the van. The voice in my head speaks softly like a whisper from right behind my ear. It's a masculine voice, but not my own. An older man with kind of an old Western accent. Familiar. Glancing back, there's no one there. Without thinking, I speak. It's not the van. And how do you know that? I don't know. I admit. There's a long silence and Leo's tail curls inward. He's biting the inside of his cheek, thinking hard. Finally, he looks me in the eyes again. It's me. That thing, it follows me. I thought it was you, but it's not you. You're different now. He gesticulates in my direction. Leo, Please be quiet for a sec, eh? Leo interrupts the otherworldly voice like he's shushing a small child. Now he's looking at me, but his gaze seems to shift toward the horizon, 1,000-yard stare. Chase, you all left and it was never the same. So I tried to cope. I remember all the stuff you used to say to me, even the naggy shit, all your banter. Hell, I imagine every day at work that you're there with me talking to me while I'm fixing cars. I pretend I'm teaching you about the basics like changing oil or replacing headlights. I know it's not riveting stuff, but in my head you love me and I love you. There's just some distance, that's all. Then I drive home, listen to whatever on the radio and imagine you reacting to it. Growing every time the word truck is mentioned in a country song, or making some snide-ass remark about the political ads. A little smile curves up along his jowls, so it diminishes as quickly as it forms. That little drop of blood running down the fur of his cheek finally splatters on the cab floor beneath him. When I get home, I go online, and like there's this pulling in my chest like a dread, you know? I click on the social media shit, and it's you, the real you, and you're different. You're wearing new shirts, hanging with new friends, drinking fancy college beers, growing terrible facial hair. I touch my goatee briefly, and Micah gives me a sidelong glance. And it feels like I'm losing you all over again. So I just avoid it. I pretend that we still drink together in the patio as the sun goes down on Saturdays. I pretend that you're there beside me at home, watching me play my games. And I pretend at night that the pillow I've got my arms wrapped around is you, making your little irk noises you do when I ruffle your head fur or squeeze you. He plants his rump against the side of the cabin, sliding down into a sitting position as he clutches his head. And then one day, you started talking back. At first it was quiet, in the back of my head, not even really noticeable. And over time it just got more real, yeah. Soon I was looking in mirrors and seeing you standing there, a reflection in a window or a pool of water. Sometimes I swear you could even touch me, but it wasn't you. Not the real you. It was the you I wanted you to be. This perfect, subservient thing. But it didn't make me happier. It was just a dream. A dream that kept blurring between, like, what was real and what wasn't. And so I wanted to see you. The real you. To, I don't know, get a grip. Fix me. But it just made things worse. You didn't give a shit. When I would smile and you would look away and you'd take every chance to hang out with others instead of me. His eyes flicked briefly toward Jenna before trailing back down to the space between his feet. Wolf breathing slowly. These past few days, it's been unlike anything I've ever felt before. I'd forget what was real and what wasn't, and it'd drive me up the wall, as you know. So, sorry, I just... Rubs his face. Fuck. Wolf goes still, the gravity of his words running everyone silent. Even the radio. Jenny, who seems to be constantly wavering between lingering and noping the fuck out of here, glances back over her shoulder. Grievances with Leo and Mike are apparently lessened in the face of continued paranormal onslaught. So this thing that we're seeing is manifested by the hum is some sort of tulpa? A tulpa? Chase, a tulpa is basically an idea that you put so much thought and energy into that it becomes its own thing. Basically, it's like an imaginary friend, but to the point where it's not anymore, like it's an actual physical entity, essentially, that lives inside your head, but apparently an echo. As I was saying earlier, it basically took this thing, this idea that Leo had drummed up, and turned it into an entity that, like, is part of Echo. It's so fucking interesting. The name sounds familiar, like something Carl mentioned to me in passing. In layman, a more advanced version of an imaginary friend. Fennec frowns deeply, thinking. Process of induction, visualization, thought form, and other mental forcing can stimulate these sorts of psychosomatic happenings. Exactly, Jenna. Generally, you see it with people who say they talk to Jesus, or other religious icons that encourage prayer and meditation upon idols. Exactly. You're saying I'm like some kind of worshipped idol? Jenna sighs as Leo slinks down a little. Sure. That still doesn't explain why we can see and hear this thing. Honestly, it's more likely we're enduring some sort of collective traumatic hallucination. But right now I'm just spitballing here to rationalize this. She swirls her paw in the direction of the van. A person that others can see and interact with. Born from a dream. We watch the radio, though it doesn't chime in. I think it's gone. Another silence. Finally, Micah speaks up. Jesus fuck, Leo. Can't you just print out Chase's yearbook picture and tape it to a flesh like a normal person? Leo looks to Micah, his tired, wounded face slipping into a grin before he starts to chuckle. It's the first bit of proper laughter I've heard from him in a bit in days, even if it's bittersweet. Micah, I'm sorry. Dude, for real, it's fine. Micah watches Leo with some weariness in his golden eyes, crossing his tattooed arms over his chest. Nah. What do you mean, nah? Nah, we may have been just messing around, but you had shit rough at home. Everyone knew it. And I just didn't want to think about it, yeah. You just disappeared one day and that was that. But you were small, didn't have nobody to turn to. I should have been there for you. Micah scuffs his foot against the dirt, looking a mixture of frazzled and embarrassed at the conversation taking place. We didn't have that kind of relationship. Not like you and Chase had. Relationship? Vat looks at me, quickly clarifying. It wasn't really a relationship or nothing, but that was a bad word to use. Just two kids who both really like dudes and experimenting. There's a twisting sensation in my chest. I look at them, both, then imagine them in the van, right before it was essentially the most romantic night of my life, the day I felt most loved and special out of any. With a $700 camera and a 3-year age difference. Mike ignores Jenna. Judging by your expression, I'm guessing he never told you. I don't blame him. Leo scoots himself to the back of the van, hanging his legs off the end as he looks to me. And I should have. I just didn't want to lose you, you know. He's looking at me now. And yet he lost you anyway. Oh. That's all I can manage to say. Leo turns his attention back to Micah. I'm no replacement for Keith, but I should have helped you get back on your feet. Introduce you to the group. Dios, you and Chase would have gotten along after a while. Didn't you want to be a journalism major? Jenna, despite the apologetic tone of Leo, definitely doesn't seem eager to stick around for this conversation. Man, that was a lifetime ago. We could have taken your feral ass in, shown you how society works. Come on, you probably don't even know how to do your taxes. He clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, kind of like how Leo does. Fuck taxes, government ain't getting shit. Anyway, he clears his still raspy throat, wincing as he swallows. If you want to get ahead in life, you can't rely on others. Gotta get it for yourself. He passes a glance toward Jenna for a moment. We did. I chime in, still trying to wrap my head around that revelation from earlier. Michael looks like he's about to snap back with something biting, but just waves off with a thought with his hand. Anyway, if you wanted forgiveness, you got it. Let's put some discipline in this and tune us in this home hotspot, Kay. Please. Micah grunts once, beginning to walk off behind Jenna. After a moment, he slows some, looking back up to Leo. Glad you, finally woke up, though. Woke up? Jenna rubs her face in the pads of her paws. She's shaken, nerves frazzled. Mike and Leo, too. Though I just feel numb. All this insane shit is happening around me, and it's like a dream. Something not even real. Remember what Chase said in Flynn's route? That's exactly how he felt for most of his life since Sydney's death. And because, there's a layer of separation between what I perceive and what's actually really occurring in front of me. Watching a playback of memories projected right into my own eyes. It's not the first time I felt like this. Even outside of this supposed hysteria, but it's never been so strong. As I glance behind me, the van's still there, real as ever. Mike and the newly sobered Leo walk on ahead. Maybe it's like a minefield, you know? Projecting thoughts and shit for everyone to see. Yeah, just think real hard about Carl. We can take a spooky fucking doppel home with us instead, save us some trouble. After a while, I can't make out what they're saying. They're talking with a more serious tone, their voices lowered. I'm not sure if I even want to know what they're discussing right now. Oh boy, it's happening. It's happening. This scene. Okay. So, you remember how, he said it was, real 60s, the van? So that must mean that Sam died in the 60s, maybe the 70s, I don't know. But, from what Leo was saying, it was before the mid-90s, so yeah, it's before the 90s, obviously. I mean, it's confusing, because it's interesting. Trying to piece the timeline together. As I approached the edge of the old highway, my eyes settle upon a small mound of dirt with a carefully placed stone on the center. I'd walked down the stretch of Route 65 about a dozen times growing up and had never seen this before. I've seen this before, but was never curious enough to investigate. There's something about it that's drawn my attention, and then I realized why. The dream from last night, the grave. That's the spot. I stopped, the others still walking ahead. They're following the road now back to town, or at least until we get to the railroad crossing, and then we can follow that. I look back to the mound of dirt and compelled to approach it. Without really thinking, I'm on my knees. Dig, of course. What? Just do it. Next thing I know, I'm scooping the tips of my paws with the packed soil, digging up dirt and tossing the clumps aside. Okay, so yeah, that solidifies it for me, that confirms it. We're seeing this game through the eyes of Sam. That confirms it for me. This whole dig, and then he's like, what? Like, it wasn't his thought, it was someone else's thought, intrusive thoughts, but, it's actually another person inside him. controlling, like, his actions, I guess. Next thing I know, I'm scooping the tips of my paws through the packed soil, digging up dirt and tossing the clumps aside. I don't know why I'm doing this. I close my eyes trying to snap out of it. It doesn't help, and soon there's this musty smell in the air like the inside of an old attic. I managed to dig about a foot down to the dirt earth so far, and the smell is only growing stronger. At least about 2 feet down, something solid touches my fingertips. I keep going, dusting off dirt around whatever it is. The surface is curved and cracked in places like pottery. Even before I get all the dirt off, I have a hunch of what it is. 2 empty sockets stare up at me, and I stare back. Hello. Voice by my head, much more profound than I've ever heard it before. After all this time, to end up here. The voice almost sounds like it sighs and goes silent. Are you the guy in the grave? I ask the voice, which rings more clear with each passing word. The way he sounds, it's like he's right here, despite the unnatural cadence. The voice in my head? I whisper to the skull, compelled to touch it. Any skin or fur is long since rotted away, and the head itself is a yellowed ivory color. His clothes, what are visible, are in tatters, but the remnants of a button-up shirt and suspenders can still be seen. The voice doesn't respond, so I ask another question. Who are you? Tumbleweed rolls by along the road in front of me, the others getting further and further away. Instead of responding, I feel myself begin to dig further down, scooping out a few more mounds of dirt until something leather and small can be seen. A hardy little wallet with a snake emblem pressed into the center. Flipping it open, several business cards and dollar bills quickly dissolve in the exposed air, while there is a plastic ID card in the back. It's a driver's license, clearly decades old, with the faded ink of several stamps covering most of it. What text can be seen is that in old-timey typewriter font. I run my thumb across the surface, wiping away the dirt and grime. Samuel Ayers, date of birth 1890. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. No, I need it. I need to check something. Okay, so 18 minus 19, 15. He's 25 in the smoke room. So if we're going by that, 19, no, we shouldn't. 15, 17, 60. What? No, no, not that young, not 45. He said he was an old man, so no, that wouldn't be right. I'm just trying to figure out how old he was when he died. There's a little picture of an elderly pale feline with stark reddish-looking eyes that remind me slightly of Leo's. Okay, so yeah, he couldn't have been 45. He looks haggard and sad, ancient really, a relic of another time. The man from my dreams. I should be terrified, but again I still feel disconnected. A passive viewer can only sometimes speak without any control. Now you know how I feel. I managed to swallow, peering into those sagas like they were looking back into me, at me. I've never met a ghost before. Remarked quietly. Not a ghost. What are you? Another drawn-out silence, so this time I waited out. Maybe, Lux, maybe something like that thing on the radio in the van. Just older. Changed now. It's gone, but I'm still here. Clinging to you like a lifeboat in open water. We've been together for some time. Didn't see one another for a while, but you came back. They always come back. Together, I trail off, trying to wrap my head around what he means, but what's really happening. I lean back some, feeling less resistance on my movement. I feel weird, like I'm not really here. You felt this way for a while now. It always happens like this over time. Here it's just a little stronger. With me. The gaze is pulled down to the license in my grip. Again, I read the name Samuel Ayers. He goes quiet for a moment, then speaks up again. With him. His voice falters, a strange conveyance of emotion in his otherwise stilted, monotone presentation. I speak up again. There's something wrong with me. It's like I'm not doing things on my own anymore. You're not. I'm with you. You are indecisive by nature. What? How? I choose. That doesn't make any sense. Why are we connected? How do I make this all go away? He says nothing, but I can hear him rumbling, stirring. At least 15 seconds pass before said stirring turns into words. You came back to find the truth. Well, that's what you told yourself. Yet you've known it all along. You just bury it over and over again. Each falling or failing uncomfortable moment. Horror. Can't face anything. Just like him. The man with the hat that's always too tight. Brains splattered on fresh grass, pine needles, and a whimpering child. I don't... You are weak. You are pathetic. There's a pause, and again his tone shifts. A deviation from his uniform speaking pattern. His voice sounds softer, distant, like an echo of something said far away. Be safe, kid. Before I have time to comprehend anything, I hear footsteps upon the asphalt in front of me. Jeez, what are you still doing back here? What are you looking at? Jenna steps closer, peering a little hole I dug. She thins her lips. Oh! What's going on? Leo's booming voice calls out from down the highway, the wolf looking back at us. Jenna just stares at the desiccated remains from what we're calling back. Chase, dug up an old corpse. God damn it, Chase! Jenna sighs, resting her paws on her knees and letting her head hang down. What he said? She looks up after a moment, spying the card in my hand. Is that an ID? Yeah, Samuel Ayers is the name. I think he's the one who got hit by the van. Oh. She looks off to the side. Great. Huh? What, Chase? She responds exasperated. Don't you care? Someone died here. I think he matters somehow. To me. Chase. Her eyes drift to the skull cropping out of the mound of dirt. God, I've passed this so many times just out here walking, never knowing there was a person buried here. How was the ID card? I squint at some of the smidge text. 70s, I think. At least that's what it was when it was last renewed. Jenna frowns. Poor guy. Okay, so the 70s then. But how? He'd be in his 50s? No, that doesn't make sense. What? Oh. He would have been in his 50s or 60s when he died. Fuck me, man. That's bad. That's awful. She crouches down beside me, taking the license for a moment. You should hold on to this so that we can give it to the proper authorities for them to handle. I wonder if anyone out here is still looking for him or even remembers who he is. Her eyes flick over the little card settling on the picture. It looks kind of familiar, too. She hands me back the ID, then extends out her arm to help me up. With a knot in my stomach, I take her hand and use her weight to rise up without putting too much strain on my injured leg. I think he might be in my head. Words leave my mouth more casually than I meant. and Jen does a little double take toward me before letting go. Well, tell him I said hi. We'll deal with him in a bit. She's just like Cynthia sometimes. He says you're just like Cynthia sometimes. Jenna stares at me, then the grave, then back to me. She brings 2 fingers to her temple, massaging it. Chase, please don't listen to the voices in your head right now. She responds curtly as Micah arrives behind her, Leo hobbling at his side. You okay, Otter? I look at him for a long moment and answer honestly. I don't know. Same. What's it going okay? Chase, you can keep leaning on me if it hurts to walk. I give her a grateful nod as I rest an arm on her shoulder. Thanks. Man, this is weird because these guys don't know anything about Sam, and yet I've played the Smoke Room through his eyes, and I know a lot about him, which it's weird. Oh, that's interesting. I just thought about that. The player who's played the Smoke Room and Echo is more in the mindset of Samuel in this scene than they are of Chase because they know him. Which makes sense because Sam would know himself. And if we're playing him as Sam... Oh my god, that's genius. It's not... It is genius because this was coming out this was coming out after the Smoke Room had been out for a bit. Like, oh my god, that's amazing. I love that. As we head off, Micah lingers a little behind us, staring into the shallow grave. He steps off the road, pushing the dirt I'd removed back into the hole with a few hasty swipes of his foot. Before anyone can ask what he's doing, he catches back up with us, staring straight ahead. He's burying him again, dude. Respect, you know? Respect for the dead. We've been walking for what feels like ages. And honestly, thank you, Micah, because I like Sam a lot, and I don't... We've been walking for what feels like ages, the moon's still high in the sky and the taste of water in the air. Maybe it will rain. After we got switched around and ended up on the wrong side of the highway, we realized we were much closer to Heather's than the motel. So, to Tetanus Alley we go. I keep playing back that conversation earlier in my head, that voice that seemingly activated when I found the skeleton. I've heard it 1,000 times before, but I always just assumed it was me and my subconscious, particularly bitter side of myself that would chime in every now and then to add insult to injury. Really? Lives out in the boonies, doesn't she? Yeah, winces some as he walks, no longer using Mike as a walking crutch. Yeah, I don't get out her often. Be wary, though. Apparently she's got a gun, so no threatening movements or nothing if we see her. Clint's got one, too. Should be swung back around to my place so that I could have grabbed my piece. Leo, for God's sake, we're not getting a firefight tonight. Okay, Jenna, no more of your anti-gun bullshit. I'm sick and tired of you. I'm not sick and tired of you, but I'm sick and tired of this fucking anti-gun crap, okay? I'm sick and tired of it. Bet my aim's better than 2 junkies with pop guns. Oh yes, the heavily concussed, hobbled wolf definitely has the advantage over Clint and Heather. Both of which spend a considerable portion of their free time shooting random objects in a trailer park. I know because I grew up listening to it. She ain't lying, at least for Clint. He ain't no fan of you. Should've probably let me do the talking. Didn't you betray them? I think I might be the better person for this. The neutral party, so to speak. Oh, so this is the route, this is the ending choice. Yeah, but I know them. I can sort this shit out real quick, like. I actually don't remember. I don't remember, actually. You know, I'm just gonna save it here, because, like, we're getting toward the end of the route anyway. So. Okay. We're gonna do both endings in this video, obviously, if I can. Yeah. It's Jenna's route. So I guess I should choose Jenna first. But, like, Micah's on top, which kind of... You know, after that whole, you're indecisive. This is not Chase, is it? No, it's not Chase doing these decisions. Oh boy. Yeah, Jenna can talk sense to anybody. Let's just do Jenna first. Jeremy is her brother, and Clint is Jeremy's best friend. And presumably Heather listens to both of them. She's not really been involved in any of the drama so far, so I trust her to get this taken care of. I look down at Jenna, who I'm currently leaning against. She can put her degree to work. Oh god, don't put it like that. The last time I don't study any of that interpersonal communication business that shrinks handle. I lean more toward neuroscience anyway. So Rich Goat is in great hands then. Nice. Micah responds tersely, Jenna giving him quite the side eye. She still seems pretty disgusted with him and Leo for the van revelations. Well, who fucking gives a shit, dude? I don't. You shouldn't. And the further we get away from it, I'm starting to feel myself get more and more ill at the thought. Camera. Jesus. Leo had asked if I ever wanted to film anything before we were together, but I always said no. I shut my eyes trying to think about it. Focus. Just gotta find Carl. Long, curvy gravel road leads halfway up the quarter-mile loop that is Jasmine Street. In this section, several mobile homes are dotted along its length, but most are empty and dilapidated. They generally serve as squatting grounds for seasonal transients. A little pink house stands out amongst the rest, with a big utility vehicle parked out front. Never actually been inside before. We should be careful. The front door is open. What? Jenna points, and sure enough, the double doors leading to the house are cracked open. The doors themselves are strangely ornate, painted like a drawbridge with big knockers on both sides. A creeping sense of dread begins to dawn upon me. Hunker down, let's get ready. So we do. Well, as much as I'm willing to do with my legs still feeling like it's on fire. I can even see Leo wincing as he crouches down in front of some shrubbery. You guys look good for this? Yeah, it's just like a bit by 20 fire ants. Should probably be something we can wrap your legs up with inside. And the tips of your fingers, Batty. Batty? Said back, gives looks an incredulous look. Gives Leo an incredulous look before laying out a little harump before facing forward again. I squint past the two of them through the bush and make out the text and logo of the utility vehicle. It says, the Reclamation Bureau, with a little river insignia surrounded by the national flag. Jenna squats down beside me, her ear twitching. She quickly appears around over my shoulder, staring hard at something behind us. I follow her gaze, all I see is the vast stretch of desert between us and Lake Emma. Micah looks too, letting out a little gasp. Who the fuck? What? I don't see anything. Shush! Jenna places her paw to my lips. I frown, peering past her fingers into the dark. Finally, I can hear something, twigs snapping, quick footsteps, and maybe some panting? There's a rumbling behind it, too, that sounds almost mechanical in nature. My first thought is the van from earlier. Whoever turned it on, had they gotten it running and followed us out here? The silhouette of a figure emerges through the sagebrush, its motions frantic. Eventually I can see its eyes, which are familiar bright blue. Teach! Leo quickly runs up to catch the flying feline, only met with the slashing claws that push him away. Wolf seethes audibly, stepping back. TJ, stop! It's us! He whispers sternly, trying to stop him out of whatever's come over him. TJ keeps looking over his shoulders, panicked. It's coming, it won't stop following me! TJ shouts and Micah visibly flinches. Kid, shut the fuck up. He's hysterical. Yeah, so hit him or something. Leo blinks, frowning deeply as he tries to wrangle the cat by the scruff of the neck with little success. What, I'm not going to punch TJ. Oh, so you get to beat up my friends, it's totally fine. Micah's grumbling trails off into a disgruntled mumble as TJ yowls. He was trying to scramble away, kicking up clouds of dust everywhere. Cat looks horrible, goat head brambles stuck in his fur, tumbleweed sticks in his shirt, his pants ripped at the seams. Looks like he's been out running in the wilds for a while. Jenna squeezes my shoulder some before moving from my side, approaching the increasingly feral-looking lynx. TJ, it's me, Jenna. She speaks softly, a calming tone to her voice. I'm here with Leo, Chase, and our new friend Micah. You're okay. That rumbling sound is getting closer. Soon I can see headlights gleaming across the desert. It's a pickup truck and it's not even on the roads. The driver just careening through the desert straight towards us. TJ's eyes bulge, head swiveling toward the sound even as Leo wrestles into his knees. Oh no, 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 no! It's the thing, it's the thing! He breathes in sharply, looking at me for a moment. A monster! A monster? Jenna repeats, peering at the approaching truck. Fuck, is that Jeremy and Clint? No. She lets out her relieved sigh. I recognize the busted grill. The vehicle begins to slow until it rolls into idle and parks about 10 meters from where we're squatting. A towering figure emerges from the inside, a rifle in his hands. Fucking hell! Flynn blinks at us all, then shifts his attention back to TJ. The Lynx is staring at him, as if he is just the horror of all horrors, jaw agape in silent scream as he writhes in Leo's grasp. Flynn! Jenna growls. I guess we're all just hollering now. Micah briefly glances over her shoulder toward the house. No movement inside. What did you do? What did I do? I sure as shit would like to know. 1 minute we're searching for Colin, next he just stared with that crazed look in his eyes. Started crying snot all over the place. I've been chasing this little shit for fuck knows how long, but the whole town is falling apart. Lost him for a bit, so I went home and grabbed my repeater. Flynn holds up his rifle, and I can see it's pretty damn old-timey. The sort you see in old westerns, but the metal looks more brassy than iron. He shifts his gaze from T to the rest of us and frowns. The fuck you guys been up to? No one immediately speaks. To be fair, I'm not quite sure how to answer either. It would take hours to summarize everything that's happened since Flynn and TJ were around. Not really. Surviving. You can literally say, it wouldn't take hours, dude. It's like a couple sentences, at best, or at the back of my neck. But we found Carl. You did? Flynn perks right up, the visible exhaustion worn like a second skin seeming to dissolve right off him. Where is he? I swallow, realizing how dry my throat is as I try to make the right words. Duke and my brother have him. Jen interjects. We were briefly and unwillingly detained at Brian's. Carl was there but Jeremy and Duke were told to take him to Heather's place. Hence, she gestures toward the pink house. Why we are here. You are fucking shitting me. We are not. Flynn is wrought speechless, bringing his fingers to his forehead and gritting his teeth. This is so fucking nuts. He brandishes a repeater across his chest, pulling back the lever, and checking his click with an increasing look of trepidation on his face. Let's not waste any more time, then. He slams the click back into place, stepping forward. JJ flinches. The Lynx looks terrified and more confused now. Whoa there, Mayor's boy. Duke and Jerry might be packing. We know for sure Heather is. So slow your roll, yeah? Hearing this information, it looks like roll slowing is the exact opposite of what Flynn wants to do, but he does stop. Glancing back, he seems like he's about to snap at Leo, but spots his bloody leg and the swelling around his muzzle and forehead. His expression softens. Guys? Our attention shifts to the Lynx cradling Leo's arms, who is peering at us through bloodshot eyes. Teach. Leo loosens his grip on him, and the Lynx props himself up on one knee, taking stock of surroundings for the first time. Hello? Jen exchanges a look with the rest of us who are speaking. Welcome back to reality. The hum's nasty stuff, ain't it, kid? Hum? Clutches his ears. I don't know what you're talking about. Leo snaps his fingers a few times around TJ's face while waving his paw in front of him. TJ stares, flinching with a delayed reaction. Not too sure he's fully back with us just yet. Flynn swipes his hand through the air, grimacing. Okay, enough of this. Wolf boy, what's the plan? I blink, realizing how naturally everyone defers to Leo when the going gets rough, just like when we're kids. I don't see Jeremy or Duke out front, so I assume they ain't here. We should take a look inside, but we need to be careful. They could be back any minute. Yeah. We all begin to follow in line behind Leo, all of us pretty damn sure our element of surprise is long gone. We're about to reach the open door and I notice that Jen isn't with us. I glance back over my shoulder and see her staring at the underbrush back by the truck. Everyone else starts filing in before I get a chance to get anyone's attention, so I wait outside for her. I wave, trying to get her attention. Sure enough, she finally looks my way and quickly scurries her way over to me. Why the fuck are you angry? It's amazing how silent she can be, even while running. It's one of those enviable fox traits she has. It's tough to think of any aspect of foxes that's a hindrance, actually. What's up? I look at her, trying to keep my voice down. She peers at me with a scrutinizing expression as if I'd said something rather offensive, and she's waiting for me to tell my way out of it. Jenna? Oh, it's nothing real. Huh? She walks in, not offering any elaboration. Come on. I sigh, following her. Jenna, I can't say I would have expected the interior of Heather's home to look like this, even having known her most of my life. The first thing that hits me is the smell. It reminds me of one of those fancy candle and soap stores in the mall with this sort of dusty, mildewy stink that lingers in my sinuses. Ew. Very floral overall. Potpourri, I think it's called. Next thing I notice is the decor. Much like the exterior, there definitely appears to be some kind of fantasy castle-like theming going on here. However, the person going for said theme is certainly no interior designer. Bubbly wallpaper, cheap knickknacks, and blurry printed JPEG images of fairy tale characters coat the walls. Pink pennant banners dangle from the ceiling, and crushed glitter can be seen reflecting from within the weaving of the carpet. It's like a child's birthday party took place here, but judging by from the faded appearance, it's been like this for a while. Like glanced to my left, I noticed an entire wall has been knocked down, the structural framing inadequately hidden by flower-coated curtains. Beyond said curtains is a large chair and a long red rug leading up to it. It takes me a moment to realize what's supposed to be. It's supposed to be some kind of throne, lit harshly by the bright white fluorescent lights. Despite the attempted fanciful presentation, cluttered floors hinder whatever intended effect of opulence they were trying to go for. I can see old VHS tapes, candy wrappers, CRT monitors, disposable cameras, children's toys all scattered about. Past the throne is what I think was supposed to be the living room, but instead of chairs, it's just this mattress on the floor which is covered in throw pillows and beach blankets. I even recognize one as having the logo of Southwest Adventures. Seeing that makes me realize how long ago it feels like all of us were at the theme park, carefree for the most part. Flynn steps out to the knockdown wall repeater clutched under one arm. Guess they didn't get a permit for this demo. As if on cue, a gust of rolling wind hits the house, and I can practically feel my feet. I can feel it shudder unstable. The Gila quickly refocuses, keeping his slitted gaze pointed down the hall for any sudden movement. Beyond that, the house is quiet for the most part. Outside, with occasional dripping noises coming from somewhere I can't see. Nuts. Completely nuts. Leo mutters, shaking his head at his surroundings. Yeah, none of us come here. Never actually been inside before. Heather's dad never lets anyone in, now I can see why. Leo and the rest begin moving down the hall while Jenna steps up beside me. She has a contemplative frown upon her muzzle. It's kind of weird and familiar in a way. That's all I can say initially until we begin to start placing why. This place reminds me of, like, old thrift stores and cheesy parties I went to as a kid. I can't imagine living here. It's not as dirty as I thought it would be. Jenna muses as though something catches her eye in the entryway to the kitchen. Soon I'm following her, approaching what looks like a laminated colored pencil drawing posted on the wall with rainbow-colored text. King and Princess's Palette, what the fuck? Jenna's frown deepens. Yeah, the context here is really fucking disturbing, good grief. In the picture there's a large bespectacled feline man sitting on a grand golden throne. It's quite an upgrade from the dingy orange recliner draped in cut-up fabrics that got out front, that's for sure. Next to him, sitting cross-legged, is what looks like a drawing of Heather. She's in a stereotypical pink princess gown with a little tiara on her head. Oh, I hate this. Is actually disturbing. The two are holding hands. It's such a sentimental picture, it actually seems pretty sweet. But even Heather is someone who cares about her enough. No. No, dude, it's not. However, Jenna's dour expression does not relent, exactly. She quickly turns, sitting down the hall with the rest of the gang. Flynn and Leo continue to take point, the Gila, keeping his rifle at the ready. Still no sign of anyone, though. Part of me wonders how wise it is to be carrying a gun with all this mind-altering hysteria business going on. Flynn turning on any of us is pretty unfathomable. The lizard had always been all bark and no bite. Still, seeing one of my old friends brandishing a weapon, it's a weird feeling. I pop in one of the rooms along the main hall that still has the lights on. It looks like some kind of study, and it's much less cluttered than the rest of the house. That looks like a study? What the fuck is that? Okay, it's weird. I don't know what this room's supposed to be. There's a small desk beside the door with a laptop. Oh, that's a laptop, okay. And a stack of papers next to it, most of them with Reclamation Bureau letterhead. At a glance, documents mention things like water tables, hydrology reports, and map revision for floodplain boundaries. It all sounds like pretty heady stuff. It's odd that Heather's dad lives in such a shitty place despite having such a technical-sounding job. What the fuck? What was that? Okay. TJ wanders in beside me, staring blearily into the empty room. I reach over, placing upon the link's shoulder. He flinches a little, but doesn't draw back. Feeling better, Teach? I ask, keep my voice off for his sake. Yeah. TJ responds, opening his arms. His fur looks puffier than usual, most likely the result of him being so on edge. I know we're looking for Carl, but I hope Heather's okay, too. I withdraw my paw, give him a sidewall look as I check behind the few pieces of furniture that are in here. Oh, I didn't figure you two were that close. At least not anymore. You don't have to be close to somebody worried about them. Exactly. I'm about to argue with TJ on this one. The way he speaks makes it sound more like he's reciting something speaking from the heart. I mean, it's true, though. You don't have to know someone to care about them, to worry about them, you know? Good grief. Step back out of the main area. Down the hall, I hear the clatter of falling boxes, followed by a hushed swear from Flynn. Watch your step! Get out my ass, and my adrenaline buzz is wearing off. You can relax, doesn't look like anyone's here. What? That doesn't mean you can fucking relax. It means that Carl's still out here with those fucking cracked fuckfaces. I'm sure when he's dead, you'll relax plenty. Flynn. I can hear the wizard spit, cutting him off. Fuck you, Leo. Flynn, you know I didn't mean it that way. Bickering continues as I realize there's still a room at the back end of the hall with the lights off. I make way over, stepping into the doorway and peering into the blackness as I fumble around for a light switch. I find myself shielding my eyes from the glare of the unshaded light hanging from above. From what I thought I saw something move in the corner, though it must have just been the glare. This room reminds me of the foyer, a cluttered mess with exposed drywall, electrical wiring, and damp spots all over the ceiling. There's a window to my right, and I think I can see Duke's truck parked outside. Duke mentioned something about Heather taking it while we were locked up with Brian. At first I think it's some kind of storage room, but then I notice the pink couch in the corner with a blanket, pillow, and alarm clock. There are dirty clothes piled up beside it, and judging from all the bras and panties, this must be where Heather sleeps. There's even a little closet in the corner with grandchildren's drawing posted over the door. I take a step in, though I stop when something catches my eye. In the right-hand corner of the room where I thought I saw something move earlier, a little green light blinks in the shadows. As I approach, I notice something, a pastel baby monitor plugged into the wall. It appears to be decades old, judging by the worn paint, but it's apparently still functional. For some reason I can't really explain, I pick it up and press the single circular button in the center. It crackles with a loud hissing noise, and that's when I realize it's some kind of walkie-talkie. After a few seconds holding the button, I speak into it. Hello? Meh. I nearly jump out of my skin at the groaning noise. Mainly because it isn't coming from the device, it's coming from inside the room. My eyes dart around for the source, eventually finding one of the blankets piled up on the floor behind a table. It starts to move, and I quickly move quickly back up. Leo, get in here! Heavy footfalls can be heard from sprinting down the hall outside, the wolf pushing his way in with wild eyes. What's going on? He looks ready to pounce, though it's met only by me and the bedraggled-looking ram trying to untangle the comforter from his horns. Oh shit! Carl! There's a squeaky noise from the closet, and I notice Carl's unfocused green eyes start to wander in that direction. I look over and see the folding doors are slightly ajar. Were they like that before? That's when I see it in an eye. It peers through the crack, wide and bloodshot. The door is rammed from the inside, knocking it to the side. From the inside, knocking to the side, and sending toys and other miscellaneous junk flying. A hanging light bulb flickers in the closet as a figure steps through. I quickly realize it's Heather. She has blood in her leg and a revolver in her grasp. You! Get out! Go the hell away! I quickly throw up my paws. Leo hesitates a moment and does the same. Hey girlie, we mean you no harm. We just need... Leo stops talking, not sure why. That is until Heather shifts out of the way so I can see more clearly into the flickering closet. Hunched against the walls, it looks like an enormous doll. Upon further inspection, it's not a doll at all. It's a man, and there's a red smear on the wall behind him. I recognize him from the drawing, a portly fellow with circular glasses, each of the lenses shattered by bullet holes. They're just empty sockets where his eyes once were. Atop his head is a little plastic crown embedded with costume jewelry. Oh shit! Micah walks in the room, quickly recoiling at the sight of Heather and the figure in the closet. Carl huddles back down against the floor, seemingly trying to make himself look small. Jenna also steps in, her arms already raised. Heather brings up the gun and points it at her. Heather, what the fuck are you doing? It's me, Micah! I don't care, you need to go! She brings the revolver up, aiming it unsteadily at the lot of us. We all take a step back, my back now against the wall. Where the hell is Flynn? Did you shoot your dad? Holy fuck, Heather! Micah, stop talking. That's her fucking dad in the closet! I know. I will kill all of you! A shot rings out and I feel something spray against my face. I quickly reach up around my cheeks and find bits of plaster from the wall next to me all over my face and shirt. Blood turns to ice and I realize there's a bullet hole about 6 inches from my head. His eyes bulge and he starts to move with that, but it stops when that revolver is swiveled toward him. Heather! Jenny shouts, quickly trying to get her attention. Heather! She says her name again, this time more softly, now that the wild-eyed feline is looking at her. Here looking for Carl, remember? Like we mentioned during the bonfire? The cat just rises and falls like she's hyperventilating. It's been that way since she stepped out of the closet. She makes her way over toward the slump from where Carl is still half covered in his blanket. She points the gun down at him. I'm gonna shoot him in this stupid fat ugly face. Let's leave right now. She's absolutely screaming her demands spout with such a pitch her voice constantly cracks. She's beginning to roll down her already wet cheeks, her eyes puffy. Beneath her, Carl covers his face with a blanket, visibly trembling from a mixture of fear and exhaustion. Okay, sounds good. We're happy to leave. She does her best to put on a face. That's the rest of us. We'll take Carl with us. We'll be out of your hair. We're planning on leaving town. Leave? Heather repeats. I have nowhere else to go. Nowhere. Everyone used to be bad, but not terrible like this. Keith barely talks to me anymore. When he does, he says... She breathes in shakily. He says the meanest things. The girl I can still hear him. Heather, Keith is gone. He can't be speaking to you. I believe what you're hearing is a side effect of the hum. She looks over at Mike, who gives her a nod. It's stupid! I know how you think you're so smart! You think you're so much better than we are? I know you do! Jeremy told me! And opens her mouth to protest, but Heather shrieks, a blubbering of spit coming from her mouth, snot running down her nose. Press her finger closer to the trigger. Carl, get... Jenna places upon Leo's chest, trying to hold back as Heather's chest heaves. She looks like she's heaving, trying to throw up, an immensely sick feeling that within her that will not leave. I can barely hear anything anymore. The ringing is so loud. It just sounds like him. He won't stop. Heather flails in the direction of the shadowy figure in the closet. Even though the man in the closet is very much dead, he's propped up in a way that makes it look like he's watching Heather pace around the room. His dark sockets following her while her back is turned. She seems afraid to look at him. Feline closed her eyes for a moment. You can tell Leo is weighing his chances of whether he can tackle her to the ground before she can get a shot off. Before he can move, they open again and she speaks, her voice still shrill but quieter. Everyone thinks I'm stupid and I'll never do anything but rot away like everyone else. And it's nothing to do with that what Duke or Brian or Jeremy or anyone thinks will fix things. This whole town is so shit. No argument there. Micah mumbles wide-eyed. Micah? It's not your fault they're wrong. I don't even really know you. She points the pistol at me. It's like my heart crawls up in my throat, my whole body rigid with fear. This town is evil. And I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna do something with my life for once, not be some plaything. She says he's speaking directly to Jenna now. It's what Chief told me all the time before we went away for a while. There stands there shaking in place as if trying to muster the courage to do something. She begins to stray, getting closer to the closet and bending down to pick up something beside the corpse. It's a bloody folder with little booklets stapled to the front. I recognize the emblem on the cover, the Reclamation Bureau. There's paw covers the front, but I can still make out Otter's damn basic operation and procedural manual. Outside, there's some movement by Duke's truck. Trying not to draw attention to myself, I glance out the window and spot the familiar pattern of orange and black scales and TJ's tufty fur. There's a glint of something metallic, Flynn's repeater, which is currently sighted toward the hysterical. What? Jenna spots this too and turns with her back, faces the window. She switches her tail from side to side. With Jenna in the way, Flynn won't try to take a shot, right? The idea of Flynn shooting anyone is just unfathomable in its own right. Heather, what do you mean? How are you going to fix the town? I'm gonna make it so there is no town! As Heather turns away, she catches a glimpse of the blood in the floor and looks back toward the closet. She screams, but she's not staring at the corpse. It's like she's looking above it at something else at eye level. Daddy! She blubbers before promptly stumbling out of the room at a full sprint, elbow-checking Micah so hard he gets knocked on his ass. We stand there in silence as Heather's footsteps fade out of earshot. The sound of a car being started can be heard, and as I peer out the window, I can see that her father's utility vehicle peeling out of the driveway. Fuck me! Micah whispers harshly, pushing himself up to his feet. The smell of blood and gun smoke lingers heavy in the air, and I realize my legs feel like gelatin. I nearly collapse back against the wall, trying to catch my breath. As desensitized as I've been feeling, the fear was still very real in that moment. Everyone all right? Leo was asking in my direction, though that gives a little look toward Micah. Yeah. Peachy. He promptly walks toward the closet door and slams it shut. I don't want to look at that anymore. There are no objections to that. Jenna walks over toward the blanket Carl's hiding under. Gingerly she pulls it off, exposing the rough-looking ram underneath. He flinches at first, but the next thing I know, Jenna's pulling him in for a tight hug. Carl's own massive arms envelop her, the two embracing long enough for Flynn and TJ to finally arrive. Carl! TJ gasps. Flynn, meanwhile, stops dead in his tracks in the doorway, looking a little shaky upon his feet. Jenna pulls back, wiping her eyes with the back of her form in such a quick movement I don't think anyone but me noticed. Carl himself can't stop shivering, as if the room is shaking, is freezing. He's still visibly disorienting, mind racing, as all of these familiar faces appear in front of him. Carl, you big cloven idiot! Oh my fucking god! Flynn drops his rifle, stepping up and resting a large hand on his shoulder. Dude, he mumbles a rasp of disbelief. I'm gonna go get him some water. Hey, Micah, come with me and look for some food. Something that'll go down easy, yeah? That nods, interested in this tender reunion as the rest of the gang. They head out toward the kitchen. He's hurt. Flynn points to the raw and flame-looking skin around his neck, as well as the various cuts and bruises that appear elsewhere on his body. Looks pretty surface level, but we should definitely come to a doctor in Peyton. We're free, Carl asked, looking up at me. Looks like it, I respond casually, approaching him and giving him a big hug of my own. He's so warm and his shaky breath against my neck, it actually feels pretty good. TJ joins in as well, sobbing into Carl's fur and muttering things I can't quite make out. Hey, you too. Carl eases his grip some on me, peering up at the tall lizard leering over him. What? You hurt me. Flynn frowns, but ultimately relents and crouches down, giving his friend a stiff hug. Carl, meanwhile, clings to him like his life depends on invoking a few irks and grunts from the scaling one. Despite the pain noises, I catch a glimpse of Flynn's face. He's smiling and more broad than I've ever seen in a long time. Carl scoops up another spoonful of tapioca pudding, the remnants of the other cups he'd gone through sitting on the counter next to him. I've only managed to get halfway through mine, it feeling pretty messed up to be eating a dead guy's food. In my free hand, I'm fidgeting with the pink walkie-talkie thing from Heather's room. I'm not entirely sure why I picked it up, and when Leo gives me a look, I shove it back in my pocket. Carl vomited after we got him to the kitchen, twice. So I guess it's good that at least he's doing a little better. He cried for 15 minutes straight while our wounds were tended to. TJ seems to have mainly snapped out of whatever funk he was in earlier, beyond an occasional strange look toward Flynn. His knowledge of sports medicine actually came in handy with patching everyone up with what we could find on hand. Fortunately, Heather's dad was not short on painkillers. Don't get me into that fentanyl shit. Are you sure those cuts look pretty painful and it'll be a long ride back to Peyton? TJ inspects the prescription bottle. Curiously enough, the pharmacy label has Brian's name on it. I've lost too many friends in Pueblo to that stuff. You went to Pueblo? Jenna chimes in from across the hall, watching out the kitchen window. Well, I wasn't exactly enrolled at the PU. I bummed around the outskirts. I'm surprised you never ran into any of us there. We most likely didn't frequent the same spots, unless you really like tattoo parlors and ska. I love ska. Shut up, Toby. It's TJ now. I had a gas in my truck with a few of the gas cans laying out by the carport. It's got a full tank so we don't got us risk stopping at the gas station on Flynn. We load up, gun, and we should be in Peyton just before daybreak. Sounds like a good plan. Does it? I clutched my forehead, the voice from earlier ringing into my ears. After everything had settled down, I honestly hadn't expected to hear it again. Any sign of Heather? No. Last I saw, she was heading northbound on the 65. She frowns in thought. North? Fucking beats me. There's not much going on to the north. There's no real exit back to the main interstate system. Just the old military area, lots of country roads leading nowhere, and the dam. The dam. Oh, fuck. All eyes shift to me. She's heading toward the dam. Her dad works there. Worked there. No one has opened the closet since Micah shut it. And? Flynn grunts, digging the repeater from his fingertips. She took that folder with her when she left, the one about the dam operating procedures. Really? I didn't get a clear look at what she was holding. Yeah, I'm telling you the truth here. I believe you. Flynn squints his eyes some. Are you saying Heather's gonna fuck with the dam? I mean, what else would she be doing? We all heard her speech, right? Yeah, she was screaming it. That bitch can barely open up her door now. Do you think she'd figure out how to open a floodgate of that size? Micah pulls out a beer from the fridge, sipping on it gingerly before speaking. I'm pretty sure I remember her dad brought her up there to work a lot when we were growing up. She hated it. He disappears back in the kitchen. For someone who has experienced the things we have this evening, he seems oddly composed. Makes me wonder what kind of shit he's seen before all this. I think back to some of my preliminary research I did for my project. And by preliminary research, I mean looking at the county website. It's that historical section for 30 minutes. One of the things that jumped out to me was how big Lake Emma used to be. over twice the size it is now. Most lakes in this part of the state are man-made, but this one is natural, ancient. The settlers just shrunk it down, siphoned away water for the iceberg, lettuce and cotton fields to the east, past the mountains. Alright, let's load up, everyone. Leo changed the topic, him and Flynn heading to the door. Wait. Jenna steps over beside me, seemingly in deep thought before regarding everyone else. So we know what Heather's plan is. And you all still intend to leave? Yes. Leo responds promptly. No way she can manage what she's planning. We got to get Carl and the rest of you some medical attention. You sure about that? She's got her dad's keys, the code, the guidebook, and presumably she's got a pretty keen knowledge of how all this shit works already. I mean, shit, I want to get out of here, and but the poor fuckers who are here better know how to swim. You think Echo would flood? Nika shrugs. Jenna presses her fingertips to her forehead, exhaling. I truly hate to say it, but we should go after her. What? No way. Absolutely the fuck not. There ain't no goddamn way you're making me drive the opposite direction of ending this whole nightmare of an evening. Jenna turns, giving him a look. Fuck you. Jenna smiles tightly up at the big Gila. I knew you had some common sense in there somewhere, maybe even a heart. I get stuck here because I'm the only fucker who knows how to shoot, and someone needs to watch your asses. Pauses. Also, I just know my aunt would kill me if I let the shit go down. Her being the mayor and all? Yeah. Since when did you suddenly start giving a shit about Echo Townies? The question is clearly directed at Jenna, the lizard grunting in her direction. Jenna shifts in her seat, having to straddle in between Flynn. His truck isn't very big, and none of us particularly wanted to ride in the back. Besides, TJ, of course, who always seemed to enjoy being in the truck bed. Fortunately, I managed to call a shotgun, which may have not been the wisest of things to shout while everyone's on edge, but too late now. I don't know, just says all matter-of-factly. This evokes a raised brow from the lizard. I just thought about myself, leaving everything behind like that, knowing what might happen. And I didn't want to be that person. Then blinks, wondering if this is truly Jenny's talking to right now. Fuck, college does make you a bleeding heart, doesn't it? Leo wasn't kidding. Sighs, the highway stretching out in front of us for miles and miles. Honestly, though, fuck Echo. I would just let it fucking flood. Jenna turns to me, giving me an appraising look before speaking. Thank you for coming, Chase. I know you didn't have to, but it means a lot. Oh yeah, no problem. Every inch of my body longs to be heading homeward, driving back to Peyton, but here I am. At least Jenna's here, despite everything that's happened. Brian's attack, the hallucinations, the kidnapping, the haunted van, the voices in my head, Heather's house, and the town going nuts. Everyone is silent as our headlights shine down the long stretch of Route 65 ahead. Maybe we're just exhausted. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. I exhale and rest my forehead against the cool window, watching the town's lights blur past. Soon the lights stop and are replaced by darkness, shadows of shapes barely visible through the condensation-tinted glass. We never go this way. No one does. We're getting close to Echo Canyon. The bumps and hills of Echo being replaced by vast open desert, contrasted by the sheer cliff face of the western mesa. There's not much out here but land owned by the feds, most notably the dam and the old proving grounds. I remember there used to be a checkpoint booth up ahead, but it hasn't been in decades. It's here you can see the lake most clearly, all of it. It seems smaller than I remember, yet there's still that tightness in my gut and the urge to look away. So I do. I keep my eyes fixed on the space between my feet. Lynn's camouflaged pattern format oddly captivating. Then I notice a blinking green light shining through my left pocket. Instinctively, I think it's my phone. I reach for it, but then I remember, and I pull it out. It's the pink walkie-talkie Baby Monitor thing from earlier. I run my thumb over the surface of it, feeling the worn, chipped plastic. It looks like there might even be a little teeth marks on the side, like a small child gnawing it at some point. I remember being like that, thinking everything colorful must be edible dessert, waiting to be bit into. It's my thumb against what I think is the talk button, but any labels on this thing have long worn off. Bringing the device up a little out of my mouth as if to speak, but stop short of actually saying anything. I realize I don't want to freak the others out right now. Seeing the lake again, I look back down. Hello, good sir? I freeze. Hello? Finn looks over at me. Jenna stares ahead. Hello, good sir. That same voice, crackling, old, spoken in the same cadence as before. I glance over, and Flynn's gone back to focusing on drawing, with Jenna still looking at the road blankly. No one's reacting to this thing going off. Hello, good sir. Is there a voice really coming from this old toy? I stare at the flashing green light, reminded of the van from earlier. My voice felt much more vivid, alive, real sound. This one is like I'm remembering a sound, but I've never heard this voice before. And how are you? Huh? And how are you? He repeats. It's distorted, but it sounds like a woman's voice. Okay. I've been better, that's for sure. Sorry to hear that. Oh. I guess it can read my thoughts. That's comforting. Things will get better soon. I start to consider sliding the walkie-talkie back in my pocket. Nothing this thing is saying can be doing me any good right now. Especially knowing that I'm the only one hearing it. Just more hallucinations. Crazy swamp gas, tulpa bullshit. Doesn't seem to be saying anything now. The minutes pass, beginning to relax some. I look past the device in my paw. The night sky reflected upon the surface of the lake, a streak of white light where the moon is. Not your fault. The voice comes through a little clearer. What do you mean? Not your fault. Intentions. Pure. The words start coming out even choppier, as if hastily clipped from an audio file. It was a loving act, and one cannot fault themselves for a loving act. What are you talking about? I wish we could talk more, but you have places to be. Places to be. The road begins taking us into the canyon proper, and the lights and the light in the walkie flicks off. God damn, I didn't think this was going. I never actually did the end of this run, actually. I did up until, like, when they left the side of the road, that's as far as I went before. I've never actually been here before. I mutter. Fascinating. Now keep your fucking voice down. I see our car up by the service building. The building itself isn't too large, only about 500 square feet with windows on all sides. Creep forward, Flynn with rifle and grasp. Micah, Carl, TJ, and Leo are hunkered down behind the truck out of the line of fire. Leo had been pretty insistent on going with us to approach, but both Jenna and Micah agreed that would probably be a bad idea. Unsurprisingly, we're the only vehicles parked out here. All right, Jenna whispers, wiggling her paws out on either side of her, as if to shake the nerves out. I'm going to announce myself and approach. Flynn, please just keep line of sight. Maybe she won't be as crazy out here? You know, on account of it being a less hummy or whatever? Flynn looks utterly goddamn perplexed whatever I'm talking about. Honestly, I don't fully understand it myself, but the effects were pretty damn evident earlier. Well, that's a theory. It's all Jenna says, giving my waist a gentle pat, to which I frown. Okay, I need to set up. My eyes and outcropping along the side of the canyon edge next to us, pointing to it. The slope isn't too steep to climb, and the bushes and rocks act as a natural cover for a vantage point. I'll be up there. If you need me to shoot, just make the Charlie horse symbol behind your back or something. The Charlie horse symbol? I ask. Flynn rolls his eyes and moves his hand down to his thigh and makes the okay gesture with his fingers, but turned upside down. I recognize it instantly, moments before Flynn strikes my thigh with his knuckles. Ugh! Jenna quickly shoves her paw over my muzzle, shooting the glare at Flynn. Flynn? Unacceptable. Flynn appears unapologetic, checking the lever on his repeater. Okay, I'm heading up. Jenna lets out a little puff of air, tail still behind her. Flynn turns, glancing back at her. I got your back. She gives the heel a grateful nod. Thank you, Flynn. There's a pause and she speaks again. I'm glad you cooled down since your outburst at the river. I know how much you wanted to talk. There's a strange tongue to Jenna's words, a finality to them. As if she's getting words unsaid out in the open before facing the danger that awaits us. I think Flynn recognizes this and he stops. Sid's dead, you two ain't yet. Let's keep it that way. Jen and I stand there for a moment. Wow, I mutter. I can tell it's an oversimplification of Flynn's feelings on the matter, but right now, that particular spat can wait. The others are starting to peek their heads out from behind the truck, worrying with what we're doing. No shit. Not too late to back out, you know? Come on, Chase. Of course I do appreciate the sentiment. I could always just take Carl's advice, though. He spoke to you? He was locked out in the truck bed last I saw. She now is owing herself to a crowd's position. I do the same with the grimace. He mumbled, suplex her. I let out an amused exhale through my nose, untangling my tail from the bush I'm pushing through. Oh, Carl, good to have him back. As we approach, I can see the front door of the service building is open, light spewing out from the inside. We're far enough away that a truck isn't really visible. We prop ourselves up on either side of the door. Sniffling and distraught mumbling can be heard from inside, including the rapid flicking of pages and clicking noises from a computer terminal. Hey, Heather? The noises stop. Oh boy. Jenna looks over at me, lowering her voice. Chase, you may want to get back. What? No, I'm not leaving you. Jenna? You followed me? Here we go again. Jenna comes out from her cover and I peek in as well. Inside a computer with a bunch of monitors hooked up on the walls turned on. One of those monitors is a window open called Floodgate Control. Maybe she knew what she was doing after all. Chase? I grimace, trying to really shift into a smile. Hi. I can practically feel the courage from Jenna beside me. I don't know why I said hello like that. Long night. I clear my throat. We wanted to make sure you were okay. Maybe see if you wanted to maybe reconsider your course of action. Heather reaches over toward the desk, and next thing you know, she has her pistol trained on us. We quickly duck back behind the wall. You two can't stop me. I know this is what I have to do. I saw the future like a dream, a waking dream. Everything worked out, everything was underwater. It was peace. This has to be done. It has to be done. Her eyes flicked to the murky black water at the foot of the dam. It was quiet. It was a dream, but it wasn't a dream, you know what I mean? Jenna watches Heather keeping close appraisal of her twitchy hand upon that revolver. Yeah, I do. Jenna responds flatly. I think we all do at this point, at least somewhat. I can see Flynn up on the rock ledge, moonlight glinting off the metal barrel of his repeater. He's looking at us with a curious expression. Then you understand? You don't, do you? The question must have been rhetorical because she ends it before we can. I knew it! I should have stopped you when you broke into my house. You're bad just like the rest of them. She raises the gun. There's the pitter-patter of small feet behind me, and next thing I know, Mike is right at my side. One of his paws on the small of my back, the other outstretched in front of us. Whoa, wait a sec. Heather's tear-filled eyes shift to the bat. You again? God, why are you all here? Hear me the fuck out. No, you hear me out, idiot! He was like an umbrella. All the bad stuff just bounced off when he was around. After Keith left, everything went to crap and you know it. Everyone started getting weird or leaving. You left so you never saw how it got bad. You didn't have to watch it happen. We were all such good friends, it's like I'm watching everyone dying. I feel like I'm dying, Micah. Everything hurts and I can't think well anymore. And Daddy! She takes in a sharp inhale between her fangs, sputtering above spit before catching her breath. I just need to make it all go away and everything will be fine. I want to move somewhere happy. You can move and be happy right the fuck now. Nothing is stopping you. Micah spits back. This is just the hum talking. You and I know how this shit goes. It'll pass and you'll feel better. We'll all feel better. No! She screams and Micah quickly ducks behind the edge of the door as she brings up a revolver. I do the same, though for a second I think I see a flash of color behind her that wasn't there before. I peek past the edge of the concrete wall long enough to realize what it is. Jenna sees it too. Same tall, burned figure from Brian's trailer. It looms in the back of the room, staring at us, waiting. It's almost like a statue on movie on little twitches, where it's suddenly shifting position. It's unstable, or at least that's the best way I can describe it. Jenna? I see it. Heather's ranting about something I can't really focus. It's getting closer, another foot nearer to Heather. What the shit? Jenna steps up from behind the wall, suddenly holding up the palms of her paws. Wait! Astonishing, both Heather and the thing stop, though it's still very much there, looming in the background, as if the world itself is distorting around it. 3 holes pierce its face where the eyes and mouth should be. I look back up towards where Flynn is at. He definitely should be able to see this thing, and I half expect a shot to ring out any moment. When I glance back, the thing isn't looking at Heather anymore. Its dark holes are aimed toward the hill outside the door where Flynn is. So it is Flynn. And Sam and other people who've died here in Echo, of course. Heather stands, wide stance, her finger an inch from the trigger. Heather, when I was growing up, I was very fortunate. It's not something I truly realized until relatively recently. Despite my circumstances at home, I truly had some incredible people and other things. Jenna's eyes briefly flick up to the figure, looking out for me. The figure's head tilts ever so slightly. Brian is dead. Your father, he's certainly fucking dead. There's some Zelda to Jenna's words, and it becomes rather evident she thinks this is a good thing. And they can't hurt you anymore. A thick tear streaks down Heather's cheek as Jenna takes a step closer, pointing to the south. Back in town, there's still people who genuinely care about you, the ones who've stuck with you throughout all this. Jeremy, he's a complete turd, and I'd give him peace of mind if I saw him. But he genuinely likes you, same with Clint. But Clint talks about all the things he used to do to you guys growing up, all the things that were said. Why are you saying they're good? What we do as children does not define us as adults. Heather, I don't honestly believe you want to hurt your friends. Heather shudders, hugging herself. I'd honestly be tempted to rush her for the gun if that thing wasn't standing behind her, watching Jenna speak. Heather sobs, her thin wrists trembling, as if the weight of the pistol in her paws had burned her for too long. Finally they droop, the gun limply hitting the floor. I flinch, though thankfully it doesn't go off. The red entity lingers so close to Heather it's practically touching her. Then it's as if a great silent wind sucks it backward, its body contorting to a pole, a strip of its flesh disappearing in the void. And then it vanishes, fading into nothing. I rub my eyes. It's gone. I can hear Jenna shudder beside me before stepping up and taking the guide and keys and tossing them promptly into the water below. Micah picks up the gun, flicking over the chamber and spinning it with his thumb. Out of bullets. Fucking hell. Flynn skids down the hill, Nelly shrugging as he hustles over. You mad fucking tit-dirts actually did it! Micah and Jenna are staring at the spot where the monster was moments ago. Flynn, despite having seen us in having us in sights the whole time, seems oblivious. You should get the key to the city or some shit. Thought that probably only unlocks an outhouse or something. Micah walks past him, laying out a string of unintelligible expletives and shaking his head. The sun begins to rise past the mountains to the east, the sky starting to become illuminated with purple and amber hues. In the distance, you can just barely make out one of the Mormon settlements down the river on the edge of the reservation. I rest my head against the side of the truck, mentally exhausted beyond words. Try to think of the entity, but it's like trying to remember a dream, a fading horror that seemed so real at the time, but surely couldn't be. There's a soft thud beside me. I soon realize it's Leo's butt, the wolf holding his concussed head in both paws as he rests beside me. About ready to head out, Otter. TJ and Carl approach, the ram shivering, the lynx gently rubbing his back. Oh, we're going? He helps the ram up into the back. I mean, in a bit, I guess. Jenna and Mike are talking to Heather. Flynn wanders over, throwing the rifle in the bed before leaning his rump against the tire. In the past, when shit got tough, the lizard would always run off to deal with things in his own terms. Here he is, slumped and exhausted like the rest of us. Finally, Jenna joins us. I give her a little thumbs up as I pass. She returns the gesture before sitting down as well. She props her chin up in her paws, her fluffy tail perked up to avoid getting smushed in the dirt. We sit in relative silence beyond the faint sound of crickets and gently lapping water. You know, I'm gonna miss this place. Jenna glances over, frowning some. You know, I was joking, right? I expected some laughter there. I think you're plenty funny, Jenna. I respond tiredly. Mike, assuming out of nowhere, comes up and props his elbow on the hood. Shut up, Chase. Now, are we fucking off or what? The fuck now? What the fuck? What? I dab my napkin in TJ's glass of water, wiping off the sticky syrup stain on my seat before sitting down. Oh, are they in a 24-hour pancake place like Mike wanted? Waffle House? Okay. The lynx gives me a little look before taking a sip from his glass. About time. Here they come. Flynn's peering out the window toward the sheriff's office across the street. Sure enough, our trio of friends exit through the glass double doors, checking for traffic before crossing over to us. A few reporters in the parking lot spot them and try to get their attention, but Leo ushers them forward. He mutters something and Micah laughs, glancing over his shoulder. Jenna just shakes her head, clearly annoyed but relieved nonetheless. A few more squad cars roll out, honking at the newsvans to get out of the way for heading down in the direction of Echo. The police were sure busy in there. Wonder why. Good grief. Yeah, no wonder. They're all gonna be in dipshit for the lack of response to all this. What was it, 14 hours before they even sent a squad car to investigate the blackout? Well, the detective I talked to claimed they sent them out earlier, but there was some kind of traffic trouble. They couldn't get to us. Oh yeah, traffic trouble. That sure is a fucking valid excuse to ignore a whole town suddenly losing its internet and telephone communications. Flynn grunts the heel, looking over toward the quiet ram at his side. He's still wearing his dirty tank top, the EMT's bandaged up the cuts in his arms and fetlocks. Fortunately, Leo's dad called and said that he's going to pick up a fresh pair of clothes for him. He also stated that Leo, Flynn, and Carl could stay over at their house while the authorities sort everything out. Since they closed off Flint Road Echo, no one can exactly go back for their stuff. Not that we're in any rush to go back, of course. The ram stares at the checkerboard pattern tabletop, saying nothing. Flynn frowns, nudging the ram with his shoulder. Hey, fat ass, why don't you take a look at the menu? I bet some chocolate chip waffles and ice cream sounds good right now, eh? Blizzard smiles down at him as he slides over a menu. Carl looks up for a moment and sluggishly flips it open. I think they serve your parents' brand of ice cream here. Judy forces a smile, which is a strange sight in and of itself. A happy face usually comes so natural to the lynx, but now he just looks frazzled. Understandable, really. Something cold sounds good right about now. Fuck yeah, I bet. Ram flips to the next page, but I can see he's not really reading anything. His face starts to scrunch and exhales through flared nostrils. He scrunches again, and soon his gaze falters, his arms beginning to shake. Jesus Christ, how much battery's on this thing now? It's 53, good grief. His eyes press shut, and he lets out a nearly inaudible sob. Flynn reaches over and puts an arm around him, tucking him close. Shh, it's okay. Squeezes the ram's shoulder. Carl sniffs, hiccuping once before letting his muzzle push into Flynn's chest. TJ looks away, his own eyes beginning to water again. I'm gonna order you the banana split and a big glass lemonade. Pauses. Also a salad for your health and shit. Flynn's beginning to quietly cry, but keeps his face hidden by a napkin. We must be making quite the scene for the folks in here, but I rightly don't give too much of a damn. However, this is all making me realize that I sure could go for a hug right about now. Flynn, still holding the traumatized ram, looks at me across the booth with a soft frown. With the two non-weepy members of our group here, I guess there's some solidarity in that. Not that I feel particularly great or anything. I certainly feel a lot less numb than I did in Echo, though. Thinking about all that happened really freaks me out, so I've just been trying not to. At least right now. Chase. Yeah? Thanks. His tone of voice is so strange and sincere I can't hide my look of surprise. No problem, though. I think we owe the most to Jenna and Micah. Yeah, I already talked to him at the station. Never would have thought that little shithead bat would ever do anything that didn't serve himself. Yeah, he's pretty cool, I guess. Kinda think you would get along with him. Flynn said a little grunt, running a hand up and down along the ram's arm. Wouldn't push it that far. And guess we'll never know, cause I'm moving the fuck out quick like. My house is probably worth jack shit now, even less than it was before, but I'll worry about money later. He wipes his eyes, clearing his throat. Maybe you could start one of those online fundraiser things, since it's getting so much attention on the news. I'm sure there are plenty of people like the folks at my church who'd be happy to donate to help get you on your feet. Take charity from strangers. Flynn looks out toward the newsvans outside. A particularly antsy-looking newsman is currently getting chewed out by a police officer in SWAT gear. Though it looks like the news lady is grilling him right back, shoving a microphone in his face. To think that's what I want to be one day, a guy with a camera chasing tragedy for profit. Maybe I should change my major. I glance back toward Flynn and Carl, the ram still visibly crying, but no longer racked by quaking sobs. For some reason I smile, if only for a moment. Or you could just marry the wealthy heir you helped save from abduction a couple hours ago. I'm sure that comes with some financial stability. TJ immediately stops crying, blinking at me, then Flynn across the table. Flynn's eyes go wide before he quickly furrows his brow. Fuck you, Chase. Despite everything of the electric blush, I have a feeling you'd be doing so right now. Carl does seem to hug onto a little tighter. The bells on the front door jingle as they're pushed open. I can see Leo peeking in, searching for us. Once he spots our booth, he gestures in our direction toward the others, and they make their way over. I swear, those fucking useless pigs were gonna keep me locked in there indefinitely till you vouch for me. Just because they can't do their fucking job, they gotta find someone to pin all this bullshit on. Why not the kid with the record? They're still trying to figure out what exactly happened. And they won't, because it ain't the sort of thing that can be figured, you know? Well, I do now. Jenna closes her eyes for a moment, though they open again as she startles from Leo coming up behind her. She's about to speak when a particularly rotund alligator woman saunters up beside me. She's wearing a white polo shirt, jeans, and a blue pancake house apron. Why, hello there, you're gonna... Well, seemingly unfazed by the sorry state we all look to be in. I suppose when you work at a 24/7 diner in the middle of the desert, you see some oddball customers. TJ blinks, mutters an apology as he scoots himself over, closer to Flynn. I do the same, and Jenna moves to sit beside me. Mike and Leo take the opposite side. We're in a long corner booth that actually has several mini tables, but with all of us together, we're shoulder to shoulder in here. We each tell the waitress what we want in no particular order. Micah practically blurts out what he wants: 2 hash browns, 6 house-style waffles, toasted strawberry jam, and a side of bacon. Meanwhile, I ask for a large iced tea and a bowl of vanilla ice cream. Jenna insists I get something healthy for my stomach, so she offers a split turkey sandwich. I smile at her and accept, relaxing against the leather back into the booth seat. Our server finally gets to Flynn and Carl, and both of them don't seem too focused on what she's saying. Flynn is staring at his phone. Carl is leaning into him with a distant look in his eyes. TJ gingerly nudges the Gila, and Flynn quickly looks up at the alligator. Oh, a banana slit and a garden salad, please, with 2 lemonades. Pink. What? Pink lemonade. Flynn looks at Carl like his last shred of masculinity can't possibly bear to utter those words aloud. Fortunately, the waitress writes down Carl's correction with that same unjudging smile. Carlos is nodding back into Flynn while then Hila goes back to staring at his phone. I can't get a hold of my aunt. Mayor on? Yes, my aunt is the mayor. Maybe she's tied up with the police sorting stuff out. I offer reassuringly, picking up a sugar pack from the table and emptying it into my mouth like an absolute cretin. Yeah, but you'd think she'd call me back. Leo raised an eyebrow at me from across the table, taking a sugar packet for himself. Hey, Hutter, you should have heard Carl's dad falling over himself thanking Jenna over the phone. All the cops in there were calling her a hero, yeah. Oh, quiet you. Hey, I'm sure I could have been just as smooth if I was the one up for talking Heather down. I look at Mike and can't tell if he's being serious or not. Whatever you say, little buddy. Both down the sugar packet, smirking some. He and I used to swipe these from the diner all the time. Creamers too. He'd always go for the aspartame or stevia-based ones though. You could see Jenny giving a curious glance before refocusing her attention onto me. Anyway, the police are pretty happy with you too. Takes me a second to realize what she's referring to, and I quickly wave a dismissive paw. Well, I'm sure I gave them more work. That is their job, Chase. TJ who's been relatively silent next to me, looks increasingly perplexed, his ears folded downward. With everything going on, I realized I hadn't told the rest of the gang about my discovery. For those not present, I found an old corpse on the side of the road from like the 70s. This gets Carl, Flynn, and TJ's attention. Found is putting it mildly. You picked a patch of dirt and started digging until you found the guy's body and wallet. What? I hold my paw, shake my head. I can't explain it. I can't explain a lot of things. The fact that the body is so old, though, means I'm not a suspect, at least. A weirdly sour feeling courses through my body and I instinctively squeeze my tail beneath the table. But they ran the guy's name through the system. His disappearance was so long ago, they don't even have a record of it anymore. They did find living family, though, or at least a point of contact from what I heard. Jenna smiles. I'm sure if they are, they'll be grateful for what you did. After 4 decades, I'm not so sure. Maybe we'll just dig up old wounds, raising more questions than answers. It's not like I told the police my dream about the van or anything, or who the original owner was. To think, Sydney's dad killed a guy. No wonder he ended up the way he did. There's a moment of silence, Mike is staring impatiently at the kitchen and Flynn dialing up his own again. Jenna exhales, breaking the quiet. Regardless, I'm just glad you are okay. Micah's fingers and neck are coming up nicely, and you two are finally separated. Jenna nods toward Leo and I. There's no way in hell that phrasing wasn't intentional. She has this self-confident smile on her face that when neither of us respond, it diminishes. Leo just looks kind of distant. Not like before, of course, when it was all loopy post-beatdown. But like he's got a lot in his mind he hasn't really processed yet. I know exactly how he feels. Dick. Micah muses, idly tearing strips off his napkin now. Huh? Dick. That was a dick thing to say. Well, that's pretty rich coming from you. Mike is about to say something when Jenna cuts him off, speaking first. No, he's right. She brings her fingers to her temple for a moment, thinking before focusing on Leo and I, making sure to meet our gaze. Acting like we're all still in high school, teaching you two about your relationship. It's not appropriate. And ultimately, it's driven by jealousy. Leo blinks. Jenna, it's not something I like to admit, but a lot of what I do is driven by that. The need to have things I wasn't afforded growing up. Micah looks up from his napkin, eviscerating. The edge of his mouth curled into a small frown. Flynn glances over as well. The prank I orchestrated over 3 years ago led to this whole situation. Taking out of raw nerve and leaving it to fester. My mind flashes to images of my smashed cell phone. Sitting on the pavement, Leo calling for me as I walk away. Do I think you two should be together? No. But is that any of my goddamn business? Also no. And for that I apologize. Wow. Flynn speaks my mind. We should go through more tragedies if it gets you to admit you're just as shitty as us for a change. Flynn grunts. Jenna waves off Flynn's comment. Seriously, Leo, don't hump Chase at a children's arcade and then destroy it when you get caught. You smashed up an arcade? I did. You know, I'm a kind of a rebel. A real badass. Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, letting a moment of silence pass as he glances offward. Nah, I'm a fucking idiot. Leo seemed to be purposely avoiding Jen and I's gaze. Hey, people do worse things under the effect of the hum. Manifesting a tulpa of one's ex-boyfriend, it's a bit much, no? Ex-boyfriend. I suppose that settles it, though I can feel how much it hurt for him to say that. He smiles regardless, of course. Well, if that tulpa's given a good head, there's not much to complain about. Seriously, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I can't help but chuckle, and a few others do too, including Leo. To describe any of this in any sort of way that does it justice seems utterly untenable. Yeah. Look, I reckon it's best if we put some time and a few beers in between this event and us before getting into the nitty-gritty details, yeah. Oh, plan another echo meetup already? I ask, trying to sound more lighthearted than I feel. Fuck no, Otter. We've got the internet if we want to talk. My inbox is always open, though I think therapy may be the safer bet than beers. I could use some harder stuff. Jenna sighs. Like... She seems to regret the question the moment she says it. You ever had a football devil cake? Devil dog cake with strawberry, cherry, and raspberry filling? I know a place off of Santa Rita and Busby in Pueblo. Would it take your mind off anything? I also can get you some heroin. Micah, for God's sake. I'm just kidding, Christ. Cake place closed years ago. We talked for a few more minutes, mainly riffing on what the hell we're all going to do after all this. The food arrives before Jenna and I really get a chance to weigh in, though. Not that I'm complaining, of course. The vanilla ice cream looks delicious. But Jenna's sandwich she offered to split doesn't look too bad either. She sets it gingerly on my plate. Flynn glares at his pink lemonade as if it had just insulted him. Fucking hell. He glances over to Carl, seems to be working up the energy to sit upright enough to eat his food. This looks like you're pissed after too many drinks. That was once. Carl speaks up in a sniffly voice. Blizzard looks like he's about to take a tentative drink right when his phone goes off. He quickly snatches it up. Hello? Mark. He leans forward, resting his elbow on the tabletop. Yeah, hi, I left a message earlier. Have you heard anything from my aunt? He frowns suddenly. Okay, why? Alright. Blizzard takes Carl by the shoulders and straightens him out, the bleary-eyed ram blinking some as Flynn tries to stand and scoot past him. I'll be right back. Flynn, after accidentally bumping Mike in the face a half dozen times, manages to exit the booth. He heads out toward the parking lot. Ordinarily, I get the impression this would annoy the shit out of the bat, but he's too excited for his plate of food to complain. He dives into the bacon first, shoving it all into his mouth as a whole wad. Even Leo raises his eyebrows a bit. Don't choke. I think Micah mumbles an expletive at him. The hungry guy is already moving on to his jam and toast by the time I bite into my sandwich. We eat in silence for the most part, though it's not exactly awkward. I think we're just mainly content to have each other's company after everything we've been through. I can't fathom being alone with my thoughts after all this. Though in the quiet I do get to thinking about that voice that spoke to me by the van. It seems like a distant memory now, but it was so clear. We've been together for some time. I'm with you. You are indecisive by nature. I choose. Those words stick out to me the most. Glancing around at my friend, I decide to try something. I let the ambient noise of the diner fade out, focusing on trying to remember that voice, the one I've heard before. I close my eyes, empty my mind of worries and other thoughts. I wait. Jenna nudged my shoulder, a french fry poking out of the corner of her mouth. You falling asleep with me, Chase? I refocused, managing a reassuring smile. Oh no, I'm just taking a moment. Oh. She nods as if this made perfect sense, no clarification needed. You holding up alright, though? You know, I think I'm okay, actually. Really? Her tone is skeptical, though in a sort of jokey way. Yeah, really. She finishes the rest of her fries, wiping her paws off with a napkin before something catches her attention across the room. Oh, would you look at that, a jukebox? I follow her gaze, spotting it by the door to the bathroom. It's pretty retro, and even has one of those plastic neon-filled tubes that flash when it's turned on. You don't see many of those these days, or jukeboxes in general. I I think maybe most folks saw them as more of a nuisance than a mood setter. Come on, let's take a look. Okay. I'm not sure why this is so interesting to her. After scooting out, she offers me her shoulder, her tail swishing gently behind her. I offer her a little nod of thanks, she's in it to help myself stand. Leo looks up at me from his plate of chicken and waffles. We meet each other's gaze for a few seconds, and he smiles. Alright, easy now. The EMTs already gave my leg a proper dressing after we got to the police station. Hell, they tried to get Leo and I to go with them to the hospital. Yet, of course, the last thing Leo wanted was for us to get all split up again. I actually agree with him this time. Plus, I've heard horror stories about ambulance bills. I relinquish my leaning on Jenna and we walk. I hobble toward the jukebox. The music selection is pretty dated for the most part, though there's some modern dance hits thrown in there, surprisingly enough. They're scribbled out with permanent marker and sticky note labels. Jenna makes a show of inspecting the options while she speaks up toward me. Hey. Hello? She lets out a little laugh and sighs. Sorry, just I haven't gotten a moment to speak alone with you for some time. Something on your mind? She nods. A lot, actually. There's a considerable amount of things that we've experienced that will never make plausible sense to anyone but us. Jenna gestures discreetly toward the rest of the booth. I notice that Flynn is still not back. It does sort of put everything into perspective, I guess. Yeah. Part of me wonders whether I made the right decision. Musing comes as a surprise. Jenna never one to really doubt her choices, or at least make such doubt known. What do you mean? Well, from what I've figured, from both your historical research and what Micah has said, this hysteria is cyclical. It always comes back and ends up hurting whoever's around it. Now I don't know whether it's gases seeping through the ground, weird radio signals, or something in the water. And I'm not sure anyone ever will. But what Heather wanted to do, flooding the town, that would certainly put a stopper on anyone trying to live there again. I don't think anyone is going to want to stick around there for a long time after this. Jenna's gaze shifts to the tile floor beneath our feet. Yeah, for a long time. She repeats. I try to think of what to say next. In the background, I can hear Micah saying something crude about the origins of syrup. I glance back and see Leo chuckling and TJ covering his face. Carl stares out the window. I don't know if you can really fight forces of nature. Whatever's going on, it feels much bigger than us. But what you can do is help people, I guess. And that counts for something. What you did for Heather, despite everything she did to you, that counts. Second chances and all that. Jenna smiles. James, that's very nice of you to say. Very sappy, of course, but still sweet. I'm not quite sure I can fully see it that way, at least not yet. She now thwacks me a little, and after a brief moment of nearly teetering, I thwack back. I think we all turned out okay, knowing the circumstances. That goes this tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and the shitty situations brought us together in the end. And I don't regret that. She taps her fingertips against the glass of the jukebox, looking elsewhere. I wonder what it would be like if Sydney were still here. The question catches me off guard. As far as I knew, Jenna never really liked the kid back in the day. Still, I guess he was part of our group, hence the thought, maybe. I don't know. I don't really want to think about it, to be honest. Maybe it'd help Leo beat the shit out of Brian. I blink at her, the words sounding strange coming from her mouth. She looks at me, furrowing her brow. What? He was really into that wrestling stuff. I cross my arms over my chest. I guess. There's a long silence. I had a dream about him early on in the week. And once everything started, hitting the proverbial fan, I remember hearing these strange voices. She doesn't elaborate on that specific thought further, shifting focus to me. I didn't make anything of them at the time, but knowing everything that happened later... She stops for a moment. If you want to talk to me about what happened sometime, just let me know, okay? Try to read her expression, the offer is seemingly sincere. I don't see any sign of judgment or scrutinizing intent to her words. As usual, around her, I find myself not quite sure what to say. Whatever happened to you claiming you're not a therapist? I'm not. I'm your friend, and I wanted to stay that way for a long time. But wariness of the original question, I can't help but feel a little fuzzy from that statement. So, just a friend, huh? Now it's Jenna's turn to be caught off guard, but that surprised look in her turquoise eyes lasts only a second. Hmm? Oh, perhaps you got the wrong impression this past week. I look at her and feel my heart starting to sink. I do mean, my mind was under the effects of a town-wide speed hysteria after all. I can't be held accountable for my actions. However, she sucks in her lips, staring at the ceiling as if in thought. If you wanted to take me on a proper date when we get back to Pueblo, I wouldn't be opposed. I feel myself slowly starting to grin and have to quickly shut my face into a less creepy expression. Okay, not opposed, huh? She lets out a humored exhale, shaking her head. To speak candidly, me teasing and referring you with Lyra and Leo, that's not really me. Or at least that's not how I want to be. I should be better than that. Otherwise, I'm no better than Flynn at the river, plucking at raw nerves. I'll admit I was kind of worried that you were just doing all that to be competitive with Leo, like that was some kind of game. Jenna nods. Oh, that's completely true. What? I was to at least some extent. Hence the offer for something a little less biased. I look at her a little gobsmacked, but at the same time I can't help but feel appreciative of the honesty. I guess I'll consider your offer. She smiles, and for some reason she kind of reminds me of those old femme fatale types from old noir movies. In the meanwhile, I'm definitely going to start writing about her experiences here in Echo. Specifically our most recent ones. How it augmented the perceptions of people, sometimes even in groups. It's almost downright paranormal. Almost? Nothing's actually paranormal. I'm certain there's actual inputs and variables which determine certain triggers that result in what we saw. On a personal note, I'm just happy none of the effects seemed to linger once they left the town. No topo version of you hanging around Leo. No monster chasing TJ. No red figure following me. No versions of Keith for Micah or Heather. And you, well, how's that possession by the roadside ghost working out for you? I rub my head, feeling the welt from Brian's pistol peeking out of my fur. I'm pretty sure he's gone. Huh. Who says you can't run away from your traumas, huh, Ben? She winks, and I find myself smiling a little goofily. This is all so insane, but I sure am glad she's here to talk me through it. Now, Chase Hunter, the true question. She turns to face the jukebox. What should we pick? You know what? I don't know. How about you choose? Jenny gives me a quick nod. Whatever you say. Oh, here, this one looks good. She leans in and presses a button on the machine. Wow, okay. So, yeah. Okay, Sam's gone. Sam's no longer affecting him. Oh, fuck you, mate, really? Oh my god, no. Wow, really going all out with those original soundtrack. So there are songs that were made for this game in particular. And oh, that rock's actually really good, man. Good grief. Say that, you know, like, this is technically the last update this game ever got. With this final part of Jenna's route, you know, it's just like, oh, this is it, isn't it? This is. something about that really makes me feel empty, I guess. Like, this game has been part of my life for like fucking 3 years, and yeah, it's really interesting, right? Good grief. Oh, you Bane? Is that the dude with Bane? Extracurricular activities? I don't know. Good grief, man. I think it is Bane Wolf, right? Man, I don't really feel like doing the other ending now, because I know what happens. Basically, the town floods. The town dies. Thanks for watching this route. My god, Good grief. Jesus. Yeah, see ya next time.